your next or final step.
Oh, okay. Oh, now it's being recorded, so I have to stick to what I say. I'm still figuring out what my leadership aspirations were. When I got into this profession, I just wanted to be an admissions counselor, have my territory, and be happy as a clam being a road warrior. And somehow I just kept getting pushed up higher and higher and higher. So we'll see what the future holds for me. I'm not sure.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Dr. Kim McNair asked for us to add our cohort number. So if you could update your name and add your cohort number, that would be great. So we can shout out all the people who are here. I'm so excited. All right, Christina.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christina Rosales. I'm a deputy registrar at Brooklyn College, which is one of 20-something institutions, schools in the City University of New York. I think one of the things I aspire to obtain, which I think will positively impact my leadership, is an EdD. I was just telling Dell that I am scared, but one day we'll do it.
It's on the way. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing, Leslie.
Thank you. Yes, I am Leslie King, and I gotta say I'm from Detroit. I just don't feel right not saying that, even though I live in New York City and work in New York City for over 20 years now. At the Ostos Community College, which is a part of the City University of New York University System, CUNY. And it's also, I think, important to know that I work in the poorest congressional district in the US, in the South Bronx. And I'm the financial aid director. I've been in financial aid for over 20 years now. And what I aspire to when I think about leadership is I'm not interested in being the smartest guy in the room, but I am interested in being the most voracious learner in the room. So I, as a leader, aspire to always be curious, and I want to be very effective, curious, situational leader.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Leslie. Brianna.
Everyone, I'm Brianna Rhodes. I'm the Associate Director for UF Online Enrollment Services at the University of Florida. When I think about leadership, I love, Leslie, your response to that, but I think just being a resource for my team and pouring back into my team and those who I am leading, our people do the best work. And I just want to always be someone who can provide resources to others to see their full potential and to provide direction and set vision and be there to help raise them up. So my goal is just to be a leader that feeds into my team, who are the ones who are doing the best work.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Araceli.
Good evening. I'm Araceli Moreno. I was the Associate Director of Student Financial Aid at Texas Tech Health Science Center in El Paso. As of October 1st, I was promoted to Senior Director of Office of Student Affairs. So I'm mainly working with nursing students with their recruitment and admissions and any events. And what I aspire to leadership is to empower and support my team and lead by example.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. Amy.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Rigoso. I serve as registrar part-time, and also the other half, assistant to the president for systems operations. That was a recent change in my position. And in terms of what I aspire to be in leadership, I think a bridge, kind of a bridge both in information and data, big picture and details, but also a bridge in terms of relationships with my teams and also with administration. So I think kind of encapsulates it in being a bridge and really trying to identify those systemic issues that maybe are transferable between our different areas. So that's something I would love to explore more and look at various models. And so it's been exciting to be part of this program.
Thank you for sharing. I love the bridge, bringing all the strategy together. Perfect opportunity. Dell.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dell Kirkpatrick Murray. I am at Tulane University Law School, Assistant Dean of Academic Services. I feel like if Leslie is shouting out Detroit, I need everyone to know I am a native Texan. If you know anything about people from Texas, we love our state. I just live in Louisiana. I am a part of Cohort 5. When I think about what I aspire to be in leadership, I want to be an agent of change when I have formal authority or in any setting where I can be someone of influence. I want to be a leader who improves everyone around me, where we're all getting better in those respective environments.
Love it. And can you reintroduce yourself?
My name is Dr. Delano Kirkpatrick Murray. I successfully defended my dissertation this Monday.
Yes.
I am, still processing it all, and I passed with minimal revision. So I am grateful
Hey.
for that part.
Awesome. Congratulations again. Becky.
I was a little late logging in. What is the prompt?
We are doing our name, institution, title, and what you aspire to in leadership.
Okay. My name is Becky Lawhorn. I am at the University of Dayton. My title is, it's a long one, Executive Director of Academic Policy Coordination and Strategic Initiatives. I stepped into that role as of September 1st. What I aspire to be in leadership, like Dell, an agent for change, to enhance student success and persistence, and particularly for students who didn't necessarily come from a family that had a lot of college going experience.
Being that first generation support, so necessary. Thank you for sharing, Becky. Do I have I think I do cohort 5. Perfect. Now we'll go to cohort 4. I'm going to start with Jam.
Why did I know you were gonna start with me? Okay. Pardon me not being on camera, guys, but hello, I am Jessica Miller. The A does stand for Ashley, so I thought there was another Ashley Miller in here, but it's 2 E's, no Y. I am from the great state of Texas, Dallas to be exact, and she is right. We do love our state. I am currently a student success coach at Dallas College. I forgot the prompt because I was texting. Sorry. Let me go get my assignment. Oh, my position. So student success coach. What do I aspire? I would like to, I'm aspiring to be a transformative, holistic leader. I believe in being an agent of change, but I also feel like I have to do that through my leadership style. So yeah, that is me. I am her. Hi.
Welcome. Thank you, Jam. Dan Duffy.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Duffy. I'm the Dean of Students for Student Engagement at the Community College of Allegheny County. When I think about change and being inspiring in leadership, it's about always challenging the status quo. I like to be that person in the room that doesn't take what we've done as in the past as the way we're going to continue to do things. So as I continue to go on and move forward, I really want to continue to push that issue and provide that opportunity for my staff as well. As they're working with me, I always push them to think outside the box as well. So I think that's really what I really look for when I look further on in my leadership.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. So Leah already introduced herself. She said her voice is not all the way together, but she is representing Ohio. So you can see her answer in the chat. Sarah.
Hey, everybody. Good to meet you. Sarah Reed, University Registrar here at UC Berkeley. She, hers. Oh, sorry, I need to scroll up. I would say my leadership style, I think that's what I'm on next. I aspire to, I think I aspire to be authentic, human leader. So I guess I'm a healer by nature, and I try to bring authenticity, joy, fun, and really kind of more human, the human side to leadership to the colleagues that I'm working with, and especially my teams. And I think in doing so, I try to offer some kind of space for us all to be our full selves. And that tends to be a healing, but just the connection, a change maker, and just a real and bringing in that fun and joy, healer kind of energy.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And that is indeed you. All of you, in fact, like y'all are spot on tonight with these, not even elevator pitches, these places of core values, and this is where we're heading. I think we have Bethany, and we're missing Tony. So Tony unfortunately had a unexpected death in the family. So please do keep Tony, who's a part of Cohort 4, in your prayers at this time. And then we have Angie. Angie is in Germany with one of the Ascend BW programs where they go to Germany for a week. It is all expenses paid, minus the only thing that your institution tends to pay for is transportation. But if anybody was interested in checking out the BW program that happens in Germany once a year, by all means, we have one of our scholars out there representing for us and her institution. She's at Taylor University, and she's a registrar. And then we'll close out with Bethany, and then we'll go into our alumni and continue our conversation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bethany Palmer. I am the registrar at the College of Southern Idaho. And what I aspire to be related to leadership is just to help others achieve their goals and their potential, whether that's students or staff members, and just overall enhancing the student experience.
Yay. Ashley Miller, Cohort 3.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Ashley Miller. I'm the Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management at Old Dominion University here in Norfolk, Virginia. I just got here last year, but spent my entire life in Indiana at a few institutions in that state. And so what I aspire to be when it comes to my leadership, I always say I lead with data and heart, and I think you can do both. I also teach. I teach data fluency and applications of data mining, so I'm a bit of a data nerd, but ultimately, I want to advocate for my team and empower them to do good work to meet students where they are in their journey.
Love it. Thank you, Chad.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chad Sartini. I'm the Director of Financial Aid, Veteran Services, and Records at Virginia Western Community College in Roanoke, Virginia. My phone's recording me. What did cause that? Stop that nonsense. So this has been a very challenging year in financial aid, and it has tested leadership across the board. And I went into this past year saying that I needed to be just basically the rock for my staff, knowing all of the nonsense that was coming down the pipe from the Department of Ed. And I also kept it real. So the things you guys have said, being authentic, supportive, I'm right there with you.
Thank you, Chad. Dr. Kimberly.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see so many faces that I've seen before. Seen some of you at ACRO, national conferences, SEM conferences. I've seen a couple of you at RNL conferences. So it's nice to see faces that are getting around. I am the Associate Senior Vice President for Student Affairs, which incorporates the whole enrollment management portfolio at Montgomery College. And as I was listening to everyone talk about like their position in terms of what they're leading from, what they aspire to. For me, I realized that I'm someone that kind of drills down to what's the core. And for me, my core is just, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference for the students we serve, for the people who serve the students, and for the community in which our institutions exist. And make a difference for all of my colleagues as well.
Yes. All right. I am representing Cohort 2. You all know me, and I'm so pleased to be here among my fellow alumni and my future alumni. It is an honor to serve you. We cannot do this work without our dynamic coaches, so I'm so excited to have them on. Jody, would you like to say something around leadership?
Oh, goodness. Well, hi, everyone. I think most of you all know me. I'll just assume you do. Jody Gordon, and I'm the Senior Managing Consultant with Acro Consulting. And I have the privilege and pleasure of in the wind down on my career, I think I would say, although maybe it's a few more years to go. And I really am just so excited to be doing the last chapter of my career as part of Acro, because I really feel like it's such a great opportunity to learn from everyone and also do everything I can possibly do to help the colleges and universities I work with to reach their full potential. And when they do, we know who benefits. It's all of our learners. And that gets me up and at my desk and in the airport and traveling 12 hours sometimes, whatever it takes, because I know the outcomes of what we do in strategic enrollment management are incredibly impactful. So I'll leave it at that, because this is the exciting tail end of my career here.
Thank you for
I'm
sharing.
not leaving any minute soon, but I'm just saying I'm at the latter half.
Enjoying while you can. Absolutely. And Jody actually just released a new book we should be having at the bookstore at SIM and also at Annual and online. So we have a new version of SIM Core Concepts that we are excited to welcome, and we'll be getting copies of soon. Clayton, would you like to share some thoughts around leadership?
Sure. Well, I think all of you sort of know me a little bit anyhow. I have been everything from an admissions counselor to a registrar to a dean of students to a vice provost. Had lots of fun doing it along the way. Lots of support along the way too. And so much like what Jody has talked to you about is at this point in my career, I'm not looking for leadership. In fact, I stepped away from it. And instead, what I've chosen to do is to dedicate myself to the next generation. And I do that through teaching a grad certificate in strategic enrollment management at a place called Royal Roads here in Canada. But I also do it through this experience as a senior consultant with Acro Consulting, as the editor of SEMQ. I have lots of hats these days. But my thought is that all of us, when we get to a certain point in our career, should not be thinking about ourselves, but about the people that follow. And so that's where I am.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you used to be the chair of SIM conference.
Yeah, I was the director of the SEM conference for about 6 years. Yeah. And as Jody will tell you, I was the co-convener for something called the Canadian SEM Summit for a decade. So can't keep my fingers out of things.
But it's all good work. Thank you. Good trouble. We should call it. Dr. Connie, and then we'll close out with Dr. Gavin.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Connie Newsome. I am at Campbell University School of Law, Director of Registrar Services. That is in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are a part of a larger university, Campbell University, and the main campus is located about, 45 minutes to an hour away, depending on traffic. Kind of like, I think, Clayton and Jody, I am hopefully within my last 10 years, my financial advisor is trying to get me to work another 15, but no, that is not my desire. So I hope to be in my last 10 years. And if I wind up being, finishing out as Director of Registrar Services at Campbell during that time, I have come to realize I'm quite okay with that, because I have moved into the scope of just if I could encourage people to be the best version of themselves for the rest of my days, I would. And my current administration and university affords me that. That opportunity, flexibility, whatever, in addition to everything else that I do. But I am a natural exhorter, and I particularly love encouraging those who want to rise in leadership. I've always been in love with leadership, or those who aspire to be in leadership. As I've gotten older and wiser and learned more and read more and all the things, as the saying goes. I'm still in love with leadership and encouraging people who want to, encouraging people, period. But I really, really am drawn to those who want to be in various levels of leadership. And I do love interacting with people who are in the higher ed space, just because it's my chosen field, it's the field of my passion. And oh, and I also sit, I'm the VP at large for the board of directors for ACRO, and God, what am I now? Board secretary for the National Network of Law School Officers. So, and starting a small business called See the Reason. And again, it all has to be with impact and seeing the reason to be the best version of yourself. So there we are.
All the things. Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Dr. Gavin.
Good evening, everyone, and please call me Gavin. And I hope you all can hear me well. But it's a pleasure to meet you all and be here with you. Excuse my being off camera. I'm sneaking in between two different meetings, but I want to just kind of come and touch base with you all this evening. When I think of leadership, um, I love to live by the mantra of helping others find their way and reason for leading, while at the same time confirming mine. And so I feel as if I'm confirmed as a leader as I help other people confirm their leadership and find their leadership. I'm a young veteran. I started so young, and I'm still relatively young, but have a few miles on this young car. And so I just love putting people who I see myself in those positions, and just sharing wisdom and sharing encouragement, and understanding that I don't always have the answers as a leader, but I like to help other people know that they have the right answer as a leader. So that's kind of a tidbit of what I do and what I live by as a leader. So thank you for having me this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gavin. Yes, building within. And I think we heard a lot of that in what we want to give to other people, and making sure that we build a strong culture that cultivates future leaders, that helps us stay in the field. So we have our alum on. I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed being a participant, and this is for my alumni, being a participant, going through the program, coming Thursday nights, cameras on, it's late, you're like, oh my gosh, I've had the most extra day, because Dr. Kim, she started the program and she was in it during COVID. And then my cohort came, we were at the tail end of COVID, and then cohort 3 started as we were kind of getting all back on campus. But it was a lot. It was a lot that was happening in enrollment in the work that we were doing. For my alum, can you tell me how you think the Ascend experience prepares you to move forward in the work that you do? And I'll start with Ashley.
Yeah, thank you. I think as I was thinking back to my experience and how the program really prepared me for the work that I do. I mean, one, I think what it gave me was definitely just that sounding board and that network. I mean, when you can have colleagues that you can run ideas by, or that confirmation that, okay, I'm not crazy. This is something that everyone is experiencing, that they've been up against. Like, just the amount of advice that I got in that setting was invaluable and really served me well as I was preparing for that next step in my career. I mean, I distinctly remember even being on one of those Thursday night calls and saying, hey, I'm talking to a recruitment firm and like, what do I do now? And how does this work? And it was just so nice to talk to people who'd either been through it or, had that experience that they could share with me. So I think that was definitely one benefit. I think too, it just gave me a different outlet to learn about what everyone else was doing at their respective institutions and their roles. Because I think I was at a different point in my life where it's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Like, I know I want to be in enrollment management, but what type of institution do I want to be at? What place of the world do I want to live in? And so I think just having others that can help you talk through some of those big life decisions really helped prepare me for where I'm at today, and actually gave me the confidence to make the move. I spent my whole life in Indiana. I'm the youngest of 7 kids. All my siblings, my parents are back home. They're in Indiana. My husband's family's there. And so this just kind of gave us the confidence that we can make this move and make it work for us. And so we've been here a year and we've loved it ever since. So I'm just so grateful for the program.
Will do. Chad, can you let us know your thoughts about how Ascend has assisted you as you've progressed?
Yeah, sure thing. So I also made a job switch during the Ascend program, although it wasn't, across state lines. I actually was working at a large 4-year flagship in their financial aid office. Prior to that, I'd been in community college financial aid office. So I was kind of going through an identity crisis, trying to figure out where I needed to be. So I enjoyed working at the 4-year, the big school, but something kept pulling me back to the community college. So I ended up actually going back to the exact same job in the exact same office in the exact same chair that I sat in prior to going to the big school, and have been just happy ever since. Um, the the Ascend program. One of the reasons I went to the big school was to learn more about strategic enrollment management. I felt like on the 2-year level, at least where I am, we had started having a conversation about SIM, but it never really got off the ground. So I was like, I'm going to have to go somewhere and see if I can learn more about this. So went to the large school, and again, kept the 2-year school kept pulling me back, but I came back with a much better idea of strategic enrollment management. But really, most of it came from the Ascend program, and working with our cohort and our coaches. I had a great mentor, and the other mentors that they shared things. One of my fondest memories was having our dinner at the end of our cohort in Seattle, and just chatting with folks. It's great, but I have a much clearer idea of how I think SIM fits in the community college world.
Thank you for sharing, Chad. Kim?
I agree with both what Chad and Ashley said, and I was taking some notes. It definitely being part of the program helps with your familiarity with SIM, learning it and understanding the foundations of the concepts and the key components. But I think as Chad kind of described, depending on the type of institution where you are, your ability to flex what you're learning may differ based on your organizational culture, based on the structure, and where you are in your SIM journey as an institution. But with that said, because you're also networked with your cohort members and your coaches, you still have access to people who can help fill the gaps for you. I think it does and did help deepen my understanding of our industry. And our industry is no longer just, if you think about it, the way we can sometimes talk about casually higher ed. I think we really have to reconceptualize what our industry is as teaching and learning, whether it's curricular, co-curricular, whether it is teaching and learning for students to navigate processes and systems, it still comes down to teaching and learning. I think the Ascend program provides an opportunity for you to safely explore any gaps that you think you have in your own professional growth and development, as well as your leadership growth and development. I think it's important to differentiate between your content as a SEM leader versus leadership skills and competencies. And I think you have to make sure you're giving attention to both of those. The other thing that I would say for me is that Ascend experience was very helpful for me in what I would describe as recovering from a failure. So at my institution, we were infants along our SEM journey. So you're going to learn things through a SEM, which is the way. But when you add people, processes, culture, but I've been here 23 years, I've been here 36 years, I've been here 3 days, and you add in people, and you add in change, new leadership, new president, entirely new cabinet, all sorts of things can happen where then the priorities when the plan was developed and implemented have changed midway through the plan. And now what do you do? And as you're in the middle of this plan trying to salvage, you now have to create a new plan with a whole new group of people. So that was, I would say Ascend was definitely helpful because even if you couldn't connect with the people, you could still rely on, okay, what did I do before? And in some ways, it's like reminding yourself of your own confidence, reminding yourself that you are in these new roles or you're moving along in your current roles for a reason, that you're smart, you're intelligent, that you've done the work to be there. This is just par for course, and you have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I would also add one thing. It also changed the way I worked because of recovery from that failure. There is a tenet, a philosophy, however you want to describe it, it's called completed staff work. Completed staff work. And if you just Google that, they're all different terms on it, but evidently it's supposed to come from the military. And what it boils down to is then how do you then approach the work that you know when you have new people and just positioning yourself with new folks coming in to say, I'm competent and yes, I want my contract renewed and I can produce and I can deliver.
Teaching and learning. Yes, I'm right there with you. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Kim. To share, Dr. Kim is who recruited me to join Ascend. She came and stalked me inside of my state and regional association. I forgive her now.
That's true. I did. I did.
And she messaged me in the chat and said, I'm here for you. Are you going to apply? And I'm like, you could have just emailed me. Like, you totally have my email. She's the person who's like, I'm going to send this whole staff notice, but she know who I'm talking to. And you need those people. So I'm thinking that this is a very safe space for us. So this is where I'm going to go with cohort 4. But if you do have a question that you want to ask in the chat, you want to raise your hand by all means. For cohort 4, as you finish this program, do you desire to ascend? Do you want to remain in your role? Or do you want to seek another role that is lateral? And this question contextually comes from Dr. Connie, who was like, I could totally be a registrar and be quite okay with it. Don't ask me to do more because I'm already doing, and she is already doing more. She's very involved in her association. I'm sure she's doing stuff in her community. And she's starting a business. So what does this mean when we think about professional development, programs like Ascend, and getting what you want in the end? Because for Chad, it changed. Chad literally left the 4-year that he just went to go back into his previous role. And he said, I'm happy. Kimberly, she got a promotion, I think twice over, at her community college. So she stayed at her institution, and then Ashley left her institution and went to another. So you can see just from 3 alum, they had very different trajectories. I'm very interested to see. Oh, interim and then permanent. Okay, thank you. I'm very interested to hear, like, knowing what's happening in the world of work in higher education, the evolution of it. What do we think we want to do, and how do we have this conversation in a safe space with individuals who have, but also at the same token, talking to other people? So I'm interested to hear what cohort 4 would be thinking about that question.
So I'll lead the conversation, and I think some of my cohort mates have heard me say this. Of course, I want to ascend, but I would not be honest with myself and others if I say I'm very fearful of it. Fearful that I will forget the work that is being done on the ground because I get stuck into the politics of higher ed. Fearful that I will no longer be student facing, so I lose that relationship with students, even though I'm here for them always. But I feel like in order for things to change, I have to ascend. I have to move up to leadership. I have to sit at the table and have the conversations that my current leadership is not having. And I'll be very honest, this program has given me some confidence. So I have started looking at positions that I wouldn't normally look at a year ago. AVPs, VPs positions, because I know I can do the work. I will have, I think I said when I have a little bit of imposter syndrome when I started. It's still there. It's not as big as it was when I got it, but definitely I know I have to. I don't always know how to ascend. And when if and when, not if, when I ascend, am I okay with not being welcomed the way I think I should be? And can I still do the work?
Anyone else? Leah, if you want to type in the chat, you can. Bethany, by all means.
I can jump in next. I 100% want to ascend. I have had some really bold conversations with my coach throughout this entire process, and just been very vulnerable with her about my goals and how to achieve them. But imposter syndrome is real. Like, that's something I've struggled with for years. And the constant thought of, we always hear leadership is very lonely. So similar to what Jam said, like, I'm worried about losing that student interaction that I have come to adore, and that's the whole reason why I got into higher ed. Like, I'm sure a lot of you have as well. But there are a couple opportunities at my own institution right now for me to ascend that I'm exploring actively, and having some real vulnerable, bold conversations behind closed doors, and just trying to navigate, that trust and who I can confide in as I explore those opportunities, and trying to see what's a good fit for me and how I achieve those goals.
Thank you so much, Bethany and Jam, for that vulnerability. Anyone else?
Well, just dropped in the chat. I went to a session that my college did, and we're talking about imposter syndrome. And I'm just going to refresh what the presenter said. Syndrome is usually talked about something that's a disease that you have, and it's usually something that's chronic. Instead of thinking imposter syndrome, let's think imposter moment. And that's something that you can get over, move through, and keep going.
Right on. Thank you. So I'll pose the same question to cohort 5.
Wait, I'm
Oh,
sorry, Danica. I'm over here, chatting
sorry.
people up and rooting them in the chat. Let me jump in. I will say I have no idea. I've only ascended, and yes, I always want to ascend. I want to be my best self, whatever that looks like. But I've always only tried to ascend when I felt like that bar was there and I couldn't get stuff done and things were broken. And I thought, hey, I'm the person in the room who I think I can get this done. I can figure out, or I could definitely do it better than the folks who are in the room. So then I tried to move up. When I felt like the space would not allow me to do that any further where I was at. So that's been my basis for movement. I'm in a big position. So at the moment, I'm not trying to change. I just want to go through my imposter moments here and keep getting to the work and making a change here. So I have no idea. What I will say is that this program has really helped me think through the options. I have been contacted already in just a recent time to say, do you want to be VP of Enrollment Management? And I'm like, not right now. I'm not listening. I'm not looking for that. But I feel confident that SEMHET and the foundation here and the contacts here would have helped me had that been what I wanted to actually consider and feel confident in applying. So that's been wonderful. But I think what I have been thinking about this time in my career is how nice it would be sometimes to go down a level and really just bask in that. But I love having the power and the ability and to be at the table to share things that I know not everyone's going to share or say or have that lens. And so that's really important to me, not only for me, but for the folks I represent or who can't be at the table at that moment. And so I'm just trying to figure out the happy medium between my work life, my best life, and then also pulling in some of the pieces, the creative pieces and other pieces that I'd like to do. And I don't know what that means yet. I'm still on the journey.
I love that space of discovery. And I think it's okay. I think we don't talk enough about abilities to take pauses and to breathe. We want to, and not to say this is what we necessarily want, but society is like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Keep going. And sometimes the ascension is the breath, is I made it, and the celebration of where you've made it, and saying, okay, how do I, make things a little bit better? So I love how Chad said, I return back and I'm enjoying myself. There's different directions that you can go. And they're all still ascending, right? We talked in our last session, I believe it was cohort 5, retention and student success, and the idea behind what success means for a learner. And we forget we too are learners, right? So can't success mean I started? That wasn't what I wanted. My mind changed. I learned some new things, and now I want to kind of switch gears, which brings me to what Leah said. She said, I had no interest in ascending. All of what I saw was not what I wanted. You guys are in the chat. Yes, thank you, Dr. Kim. But my perspective has shifted in many ways, and I want to ascend more in people development spaces, leadership development space, and that can be in and out of higher education, right? So thinking about how we can take what we're learning from strategic enrollment management, because that's going to be a question I'm going to ask back to cohort 1 and 3, about what they think about what we learn in STEM and how you apply it to different avenues. But Leah finishes, the multiple layers of SIM has opened me up to thinking about my work in a totally different way. And then Dr. Kim mentioned ascension doesn't necessarily mean position title. It can also mean ability to increase your additive value and contributions. So to my cohort 1 and 3, chat's still on here. If you can let me know, some people feel like I don't want to do ascend. I don't want to be an enrollment management leader. Is that what ascend is about? What would your takeaway be?
I would remind people that part of ascend is about diversifying type. It is not just a training ground for moving into another type of position, but I do think it is that ability to help you maximize your contributions to students and to their lives in whatever way speaks to you. I think that the other thing that Ascend will do, or it's just SEM in general, it will help you to prioritize what's really important to you. Because SEM work is not easy. SEM work can be difficult. If you're in financial aid, the whole FAFSA debacle, and you think about all of the students that are impacted and how that then changes their ability to access education, SEM is so very much connected in some sort of way to your values, whether you recognize that or not. But I don't know anybody that's in higher ed and that's in enrollment management that doesn't have a good heart, that doesn't care, and doesn't want to help people and help improve lives and communities. I don't know anybody who doesn't feel that way about their work.
No, I echo a lot of things that that Kimberly said. I mean, I was kind of reminded of the phrase like, oh gosh, I'm gonna mess it up, but it's like everything's a nail, everything looks like a nail when you have a hammer or something like that. I mean, so to me, it's like what this program I think gives you, even if you say, well, I don't want to be a leader, or I don't want to necessarily go to this different space. It's like, well, you need different tools. You need a toolkit that you can use and you can break out, because our jobs are complex, they're hard, they're getting harder. And of course, everyone thinks that they can be an enrollment manager, and maybe some of those people are right. But I think for me, it gave me the ability to have different conversations, to ask better questions, to be more strategic thinking and minded as I'm sitting there and I'm developing goals, alongside my team or with my VP, to sit here and say like, okay, here's how we need to do this. Here's the right way to do this. And thankfully, I think it also allows you to create those advocates, across campus, that enrollment management isn't just the job of the AVP or the VP of enrollment management. It is a true campus job. And I think that's been an educational moment for me and for the campus that I'm at currently, is that they just haven't had that mentality, that culture. I mean, there hasn't been the sharing of information. There hasn't been people saying, hey, I want you at the table. Hey, we're having a recruitment event and I want your dean there. Like there just hasn't been that space. So I think that even if you're thinking, well, I'm perfectly fine in my role, then I still think this program is for you, because you're going to need a different set of tools, not only for now, but I think for the future of what enrollment management is going to bring.
Thank you for sharing. So, we have a couple of moments before we start talking about the SEM conference. My trajectory has been a little bit different. So I got what was my dream job. I was gosh, what was my title? I was the executive director of K-12 programs for K-12 statewide programs for Kent State. So I left the state of Maryland, moved to Ohio for about 15 to 18 months, and I absolutely loved my job. I realized that there was some more effort that was needed, and I really wanted to finish my doctorate program. So I completely left full-time work, and I am living on a part-time salary. And I am remote, and I am traveling the world. And I also consult. I do learning and development workshops all the time for an HR company. But I'm getting ready to start my travel blog of living. And I think it goes back to what Leah said, is like, how do you take all the strengths that you have? I love how strategic I've become. And we have these things that are innate to us, but I remember highlighting Jody. I had two amazing coaches, and I stole Jody. I still to this day do not know who I stole Jody from, but she was my other coach, period. And we worked on getting my SEM project done. And in those intimate moments where I had no one else to talk to, and I actually switched institutions in between being in the program, it was so eye-opening to ask questions that I was never invited to the table for at my previous institution. But at my newest institution, the minute that I got there, that is what they wanted me to do. And that was not happening in many other places. And I wasn't even in enrollment management. So the dual enrollment program sat under academic affairs. And that was something that my VP was like, I know you know how to do it. That's what I want done. And to this day, I've been gone for over a year. I still talk to my former staff members, and they're like, yeah, no, we totally use your plan. So they moved us out of the VP office for academic affairs, and now we're in enrollment. And I'm like, but they just act like they was not going to do that when I was there, and it was like, well, they're definitely following your plan now, Jonica. It was very well written. And sometimes we don't remember or get the knowledge or the validation that the work that we're doing is good. But it becomes ripple effects, and you just have to give it a moment. But when you do good work, you do it. I still had conversations with Jody well into being at Kent State to be like, I am working on my STEM plan. And she wasn't asking me for my goals, but it was very much moving through those imposter moments of just want to make sure I'm on the right page. Because you know what? I just got the true definition of a goal, a strategy, and a tactic. So thank you so much for that. But I just wanted to go back over it really quickly. And it's okay, because this is a bit infantile, and that there are not many people who do this work on a daily basis. But I say that not to brag. I say that to say there's many trajectories that you can go. And me leaving, I don't know if I'll go back into that space. I very much see myself as a consultant. I love sitting on the back end and having those conversations. I love the autonomy to be able to think. You know whose position I love? I love talking to Arlene Cash and how she literally is picked to go be like a fractional executive at these institutions for short-term engagements. I love things like that because I always want to know what individuals are doing. So I share this so that we can start thinking differently about the world of work and what exists for us. And I don't, one of my values, as mentioned by a number of you, have been changed. And that once I got the position, it was like, but I can't do all that I want to. It wasn't that the position wasn't great. It wasn't that I didn't love the institution. I realized what I wanted to do and what I realized I was capable of doing. I didn't want to be hindered in the idea or opportunity to do that. And I felt being more of a consultant led me to more open spaces. And sometimes some higher education, not all, but some higher education institutions, and I think Kim spoke to this, you can be at an institution that doesn't lend to all that you want to do. And there's research and opportunity to learn and expand beyond, but also to ask. So I've submitted a lot of proposals while I was at Kent State, and to know that they're happening now. So again, keep at it. You never know who's listening, and you find different ways to communicate. One of my favorite sessions before I left was Jack Miner's session on storytelling, right? Like how you tell the story, how you wrap the data around, how you make that real for people, is how you sell the ideas. And now I've taken everything and I sit on storytelling. How can I make sure that I bring you along in this situation? We're getting ready to go into SEM, and I'm interested. Who has never been to a SEM conference? Can you raise your hand? Okay. So we have some. Awesome. How do we, and this can be for anyone who's gone to SEM, alumni, and also cohort 4, how do we leverage this SEM conference, which is very niched? We want to do all the things, or we either want to do the things that only pertain to our job. How should we approach it?
I'll jump in to say I've only gone to SEM twice, so it's still new for me too. The I used to hate networking because I just didn't know how to do it. I think my expectations of what networking was maybe not realistic, or it was like an imagined, like what you see on TV, and I'm like, that's just not me. It's not happening like that. I don't feel like that. I suck at this. But I would say over time, I would really just use the spaces, especially like when there's food. Those like they give us such good food. When there's the breaks and there's the food places, like check some vendors, even if you don't think those are the people you'll need now. It's really good to have that in your arsenal when you are at a place and someone says something and you're like, I actually know where I could start with this question. I know someone I could talk to. And I would say also leveraging the people, whether it's the presenters, chatting them, getting on LinkedIn right after, like taking 2 minutes to say how their presentation impacted you. It's really hard for to present, and so I think hearing how you've impacted people helps a presenter want to continue to present, and also it just gives you that connection. It gives an opening when they see you on LinkedIn, they might have something else to say to you, or it can just build a relationship. And then I would say also the people. I mean, at the breaks again or other times, like just start and say hi, just strike up a conversation. I met Tony in our cohort that way without even knowing who he was, without even knowing we'd be on Ascend a year later. In that conversation, we found out we both like podcasting, and now we're trying to do something. Like you just never know where it's going to go. I met Leslie at like a break, and so happy to see you here in this space, and looking forward to another chance to like build on that conversation. So I would say have some conversations, even if they're uncomfortable, without expectation, because they really can just give you a little in, maybe not that time, maybe not the next time, but 3 times later, you may see them in a room and then bam, you have this deep conversation and it just is exactly what you needed at that time.
Can I just say something about my experience? So same thing as Sarah. Like I'm like I show up as an extrovert, but I'm quite introverted. So the whole networking thing is a bit scary for me. So I serendipitously like got really cool, somehow picked Keisha Campbell, who's the registrar at Morgan State, and Sarah. I was like, these are the two people I see hugging the most people. So like just being in their circles and in their spaces, they introduced me to a lot of other people. I remember sitting down with Leah at a restaurant and Delante, her colleague, who I think has moved on now, talking about Jack's presentation on the first day. It was, and look, I'm a financial aid administrator. Chad, you know this. We go to NASFA, this National Association for Financial Aid Directors. And I'm like, compared to ACRO, these NASFA people suck. They're not this fun. They're not, I had this instant community at ACRO, and I have never experienced that in 20 years of going to higher financial aid conferences in higher ed. And I'm here because I know I'm in this program because of Sarah. I heard her present on it shortly after SEM, and she's been encouraging me over a year now, just through LinkedIn. And so my experience, the other thing is like I'm learning. I was telling Bridget this, who is my awesome partner and Ascend Community College. She keeps us organized. She's the boss. Let me just say it, and which I'm accustomed to because Black women have always been the boss of my life. So anyway, I'm learning so much here, and I'm not overwhelmed. I'm overloaded, and this idea of ascending is absolutely why I'm here. During the pandemic, I was in the role as the interim associate dean of student development and enrollment management. And Dr. Kimberly, you talk about this idea of failure. And I've never been fired from a job. I've never failed at a job. And in this role, I did not excel like I'm accustomed to doing. And I didn't even apply for the permanent role when it got posted because I felt so lost and I did not have community around me to show me ropes, take me under their wing, mentor, sponsor. I had no help. In fact, there were a bunch of saboteurs. And interestingly, one of the saboteurs is now the interim associate dean of student development and enrollment management. And I went up to him the first day and I said, whatever you need from me, I got you. I want you to be successful. I don't like this man. I have not forgotten what he did to me, but I'm not going to do that to him because it's not going to hurt him. It's going to hurt our college. It's going to hurt our students, our learners. So after that experience, over the last 3 years, I've completed an executive leadership coaching program. I've attended the Rockwood Leadership Institute. Like I've just been pouring into my development in order to create community. I don't ever want to find myself in a position of not knowing and not having any help. So I'm really grateful to be here. I'm so glad that I met Sarah, so glad that I met Keisha and Leah, and I'm so glad I'm in this cohort. Thank you.
So I have been in this industry for 20 something years. And when you first start going to conferences, especially the big girl and big boy conferences, and you see thousands and thousands of people, you're like, ooh, I know not a soul. I think that one of the things I've learned is when you go to conferences, there are different things that you want to accomplish. And even if you just sit down and make a grid, what do you want to accomplish? So I think you should go to, at minimum, 3 different types of sessions. You go to the session where you know absolutely nothing about it, but you are curious about it. You go to the session that the institution may or is talking about heading in that direction, but you haven't done yet. And then you go to a session where you think you know all there is to learn about it, because you'd be surprised at how much you forgot or other places that you can pick something up. When it comes to ACRO, I think you should always go to the session that's about writing for ACRO. And one of the things that they will start talking about is how you can get involved in a way where it's not a research project. One of the things that I do every year that I go to SEM, I write articles for Acro Connect. That is basically when you go to a session, you write a 300 to 500 word summary of the session that you attended. So you then get on the list, and every time you go to SEM, you sign up for it. It's a way to keep other sides of your brain, which is, you think about it, a lot of us are used to being in meetings and it's written communication. And I think Clayton can probably add and talk about students, the importance of the written communication. There's so many times where you may have to write a proposal. You may have to give some sort of update that's not part of your regular routine, but by doing those things, even just once a year, you get used to pulling out the highlights. So looking for opportunities to do that. If you are part of your state or regional ACRO association, they always need somebody to be a member, and there's nobody that's going to turn down your offer to write a blog, a newsletter article. It's also a way to keep your name out there, because you'll always be able to reference that. And whether you know, for some of us, our first authorship might be a dissertation. If that's not on your agenda, that's fine, but you will always be able to refer to yourself as an author, and just continuing to think that way. I think the other thing that I've learned to do at conferences is when somebody speaks up in a session, it's so easy to, at the end of the session, say, wow, that was an interesting point you made. I'd be interested in learning more. People love to talk about themselves. So the opportunity to connect with someone that way, or to just say, you look familiar to me. Have you been here before? So ACRO, as you all have talked about, is that place where it's not just fun, it's welcoming. It is like family. It's our professional home. Don't be afraid of home. Contribute to home, get engaged in home, learn about it. As you start to meet people, connect with the executive board, connect with the president, Cassandra, whoever the president-elect. Those are people who are here to serve you as members. So as then you start to connect with them, there's going to be somebody that's going to pull you in. Let's get involved. What ideas do you have? So the things you might not be able to do at your home institution, you may actually be able to bring them to fruition at ACRO. So it's also a place to experiment. They have all kinds of things that they've explored now, podcasts, heard podcasts. There's so many things to get involved. They just need somebody with a spark who's willing to contribute. And you look at the chat, everybody on here has that spark, and it doesn't matter what your position is. Yeah, that's it. That's all I think of for now.
Thank you. Any final comments? I see a lot of stuff going on in the chat. You have a lot of connects, no pun intended at all, but that is what ACRO is all about. So you have the publications. Dr. Connie mentioned that she's a VP at large. You all are members. Right now we're doing voting, so please vote. Any other ways that we can get involved?
I was writing it in the chat and I realized it, but just make more sense to verbalize it. And so I was just going to say, on a more practical level, get involved with, if it is your desire to be further involved. Some practical ways to do that would be get involved with the caucus. We have quite a few caucus groups. We have women's, we have Black caucus, Native American, Asian American and Pacific Islander, just a number of young professionals, just a number of caucuses through which you can get involved. You can be in more than one. And if Ascend has been wonderful, but it's been a lot. And, that combined with my family responsibilities, community responsibilities, work responsibilities, yeah, as we say, all the things. If you want to be then involved perhaps at a level that is hopefully will not take up as much time as some of your other responsibilities, then yeah, involve yourself at a caucus level, get involved with your state and regional organizations. For me, it started with NELSO, the National Network of Law School Officers, because that was directly relevant to what I was doing. I was new to the law school world. I had no clue what anonymous grading meant and some other things, and filling out state bar certificates. And I had no clue what any of that stuff meant. And so what I quickly realized was that getting involved with an organization that contains people who are directly relevant to what I do can only be to my benefit. And it has been only to my benefit. I absolutely love it. But then getting involved with NELSO, which, I don't know, collaborates, if you will, with ACRO, is what kind of ushered me into ACRO and all that it is. And as a person who's a volunteer at heart, I just began getting involved with ACRO, and it just went from there. And I've enjoyed every single step of my journey with ACRO. And I won't take the time up on this chat, but if you ever want to chat, I love to talk. So, just hit me up via email, or I'll be at the SIM conference. This is my very first one. I come from the world. All of my time in higher ed has been under academic affairs, never under enrollment management. And so serving as a coach with SIM gave me opened my mind to consider attending the SIM conference, and then gave me the opportunity to justify attending the SIM conference. And so I will be attending for the first time, and very much looking forward to being more exposed, my mind more expanded, then also learning how I can, better position my mind and my resources and myself to give back to the scholars who are involved in the Ascend program. Dr. Kimley, I just need to get to know you. I'm just going to put that out there. Oh, yeah, we need to form a relationship. So, but yes, so if you are unsure the best way to get involved or how to get involved, I just encourage you to either have a conversation with someone that you know and trust, or contact me. We can talk through it. What are your interests? What are your needs? What type of time do you have? All of that. I'm very question oriented. So all of that. And then we can find a space for you. 80% of the people do 20% of the work. So if you have a volunteer heart, I promise you, we will find a place for you. We will. And that's it. Again, email me, contact me via the Ascend Exchange, or the Black Caucus, Women's Caucus, any caucus with board member. So, contact me any way you can via ACRO and NELSO, and I will help in any way that I can, helping you to be the person that you want to be. I'm done.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Connie. I actually met Dr. Connie at ACRO's leadership conference. So that was my first time meeting her. I was a state and regional president that year, and we formed a bond, but I'd never met her before. Hadn't really been to any ACRO conferences. So it's definitely a great opportunity to come in from many different avenues as you get involved. But this is a wonderful space, and you can still have your other spaces. Like Leslie, you can go back to financial aid, but you always gonna come home. You got a special home in ACRO. Y'all can go to the law school stuff. Law school stuff do be looking fun though. So do, as Sarah said, sneak in. And it's a great opportunity to learn about other areas because you might decide to pivot and say, you know, there's some interest that I have and take all your STEM knowledge with you over to that arena. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Sarah, are you able to share some ways that we can engage at the STEM conference outside of our workshops?
Yes, I can. Happy to do it. So Tony and I are going to be recording ourselves. We're going to make this kind of like a reality TV STEM experience, recording ourselves throughout the entire conference, turning this into a video. I am so excited about it. And so hopefully you'll see us there. You'll join us. You just drop in myself recording anytime. I want to get real feedback, real live experiences. So that's what we're doing. So FYI, additionally, every night, and I don't know if I remember the time, but it's like 5:15, like just right after the last session ends, we're going to have some drop-in like acro background kind of like web booths, well, not web booths, in-person kind of spaces. We will let you know where that is in the conference, but where we can we'll have some kind of pre-populated questions that you can record yourself or each other, or jump in, the 3 or 4 of you, jump in with us. But basically, we're going to be asking everyone in cohort 4 or cohort 5 just to come by for like 3 minutes. Tell us something about your day, something you learned, something you liked, anything, whatever it is about your STEM experience at the conference. And all of this is going to be compiled into a super amazing video that we will share out. So those are a couple of options. But outside of that, I mean, we're all here. You'll see us around. You see me around. You can't miss me. I'm 6'1". Like, stop, say hi. We're going to have fun. We are going to have a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for you, and I'm excited for us because my time here is ending. So I'm excited to continue this in another space.
It is truly an Ascend takeover. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This is the first of what we hope to be many meetings. What I'm hoping to do for individuals who are able to attend annual, where are we? Seattle. For those who are able to attend annual, what I'll try to see is if we can do always some type of Ascend group, because we are almost 50 people deep. So that's amazing. And we're growing. We are recruiting now for cohort 6. So we'll be welcoming 10 more individuals in to get started with us next year. Please do share Ascend with other colleagues to encourage them to continue to help support this program. I am right now looking for external funding to help offset some of the costs, because we know that there are some institutional barriers that prohibit, but we appreciate all of you for taking an interest not only in yourselves, but in the work that you do. And going back to what Dr. Kim said and what Jody said, it is about the students, right? Making sure that we see them through. So thank you for joining tonight. Connect, connect, connect. And congratulations to cohort 4 for finishing. So proud of you all for getting through this amazing journey and learning so much and sharing some of your wisdom tonight, and also welcoming in cohort 5. So we will see you all very, very soon. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by all means, feel free to email me. Thank you, everyone. Was this a helpful session to get to know one another and to see how dynamic you all are and different, but at the same time, we're like, there's someone like me. Wonderful. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.